Resident Evil 4 is known and recognized worldwide as one of the best games ever made. Many large gaming companies, like Screen Rant, Game Rant, The Gamer, and many more that I'm sure you've heard of, have written time and time again about the amazing aspects of Resident Evil 4 and what makes it so widely considered one of the best creations to come out of the gaming industry, and still is to this day, going on 18 years later, even getting its own remake recently. If you go on Google, YouTube, or literally any other search engine and type in the words Resident Evil 4 and Masterpiece together, you will find a shocking amount of results of videos and articles titled something along the lines of Resident Evil 4 is a masterpiece and here's why, or why Resident Evil 4 is a masterpiece. This isn't just a big coincidence. How many other games can you think of that are widely given by not only its fan base, but players who've not even ever played it, the title of a masterpiece? If any at all, I'm sure it's very few. But I don't want this to be a video where I go over the history of the game and critique it to its core. I want this to be a video where I recount my own personal experience with this game. From the perspective of a 7-year-old boy to a now junior in high school, I present to you Resident Evil 4, the masterpiece that changed gaming forever.
Resident Evil 4.
The first time I experienced Resident Evil 4 was on the PS2. I'm aware that it came out originally on the GameCube, but I was never able to get my hands on that. But I also haven't tried. The PlayStation 2 version of Resident Evil 4 looked absolutely amazing for its time. What's so funny about it being on the PS2 is it was actually never supposed to be on anything other than the GameCube. But seeing the profit it made, Capcom decided it would just put it out on literally anything that has a controller, keyboard and mouse, etc. Honestly, I think this is the best way to experience Resident Evil 4, and if you have the means to get your hands on a PS2 and the PS2 port of the game, I would strongly suggest you give it a try. The main thing that I think really sticks out in this game, or one of the better things that come out of this game, one of the best, is definitely the music. The soundtrack as a whole that they cooked up played a major role in making the game a masterpiece, no doubt. The music controls, how you feel. It kind of tells you, kind of leads you in the direction of how you should feel. Let me give you a good example. When you hear this song, what do you feel? Fear? Intensity? Rushed, maybe? That's exactly what you should feel. You've just been introduced to this new enemy type with no idea of its capabilities, and it's midnight in the middle of a thunderstorm. If you're feeling anything other than fear, there's something's going wrong here. But in my opinion, there is one song that sticks out in this game more than the rest. Resident Evil 4's Serenity is Wait. This sounds familiar. That's right. Serenity is not an original song, but rather a version of a song that goes by the name of Tuberculum Pine, made in the 90s by a man named David Torn. But that's a topic for another video on its own. I just wanted to quickly bring attention to the fact that David Torn's music has been used time and time again by companies that have given him no credit for his work. Now, with all that being said, that doesn't change the fact that Serenity is literally my favorite song of all time. I sleep to it, it's my ringtone, it's my alarm. I've used it as background music in every discussion video I've done. This song means more to me than most people and things in my life, and I don't expect everyone to understand that, but I'm sure everyone has that song out there that really connects with them, and for me, that is Serenity. But I just wanted to give this song its own section of the video because I truly believe it deserves it. Resident Evil 4 had what many consider the perfect balance of horror and action. They had moved away from the puzzle-solving madhouse idea into a new progressive story with multiple locations so you never felt comfortable. This played a large role in the mood of the game, because if you're not able to get comfortable or get used to where you're at, you'll always be on your toes. You hear that? That's right. What has scared us Resident Evil OGs for years, and I'm especially talking to those of you who had the displeasure of running into this creature before the age of 10. Regenerators are the perfect example of what a scary Resident Evil enemy is. In my opinion, there are two kinds of scary. The scary that sends adrenaline through your body and gives you a sense of urgency. Then there's the scary that makes your blood run cold and freezes you in place. I know me and a lot of others' first encounters with these guys was the latter. Let's compare the Regenerators to another terrifying enemy that most modern Resident Evil players will be familiar with. None other than the baby. Alright, so let's see. They both are unkillable. They both are in dark environments. They're both introduced with a jump scare. And they both make these horrible, scary sounds. Now, I know you can kill the Regenerators, but it's, they're basically unkillable. Your best bet is to just run away. Same with the giant abortion, Point is, these guys were, in my opinion, the first truly horrifying enemies in Resident Evil history, responsible for nightmares for years to come. And it's another great example of a Resident Evil game taking inspiration from Resident Evil 4. These are scary enemies done right. All in all, Resident Evil 4 was my first time experiencing a lot of things in the gaming world, and Resident Evil was also its first time for a lot of things as well. It changed the direction of the entire series as a whole, the gameplay, and the story of Resident Evil. It flipped it completely upside down, and was the blueprint for what every Resident Evil game since then has tried to be. Unfortunately, no Resident Evil game has come close to truly encapsulating the essence of Resident Evil 4 OG, except for the remake. The remake has been really good. But to say they have failed at trying to, make another Resident Evil 4 in the form of other games is an understatement, to say the least. But we did have a few that stuck out as spiritual successors to 4, which I plan on making a video about in the future. But that's all I have for you all today. I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, if you did, hit that like button, subscribe. I want to hear what you guys think about this in the comments. I didn't want this video to be one of those where I go over the history of all these these crazy ports it had and scrapped ideas. Like, I wanted this to be a personal, with my personal experience and thoughts on the game, and what makes it one of my favorites.